That was a phenomenal visual piece. Really powerful.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Anybody want a piece of gum?
Yeah. That's not going back in my handbag like that.
So you're such a perfectionist, it's frightening.
I don't chew gum either, really. Because you know why? My chiropractor said that you shouldn't chew gum and walk. Because your body.
No, he said you can't.
That could be true too. But no, your body becomes very weak if you have something in between your molars and your walk. That's why you're meant to sit down and eat. Kind of makes sense, right? So anyway.
If you want to know more about him, just go to metaphysicalchiropractors.com. Oh, no. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. All right. I'm a terrible network marketer, and I've done really, really well over the years. I'm trying to chew this mouth. I'm looking at this mouth guard in my mouth.
You might want to sit down.
Back in business. Only because of one thing, I recognize good early. You know, you got Chris Eversberg, who was my upline, stand up Chris, who was my upline and stand in the room. Unbelievable network marketer. He was my hero in network marketing because he lived in Breckenridge. He and his wife were from Germany and Austria, and I was in New Skin, and I was making like $1 a month, and these guys were living like the Beatles up, and they were so cool and so beautiful, and all I wanted to do was be cool and beautiful, and all I wasn't was either one of those. And here he is, you know, many years later, came back around, and now he's joined us in Longevity, and that is what is so exciting, is I recognize good early. And Mark Schumann back in the back end, as a guy that's working with us a little bit on contact mapping, and a wonderful, wonderful guy, has done very, very well in network marketing. And I love to rub shoulders with really, really powerful people in network marketing. And I was lucky enough to be standing in a coffee shop, and in came a guy named Dave Jones. And Dave Jones' name actually came up yesterday with a guy named Greg Petrie, who owns One VC, which is a big, it's kind of like BNI. And he said, well, you know Dave Jones, don't you? Oh yeah, I know Dave Jones. He's a connected son of a gun. And he used Dave. So Dave Jones was sitting in the coffee shop with Scott Farduls because Dave Jones is a name dropper. And I walked in the door, and Dave Jones goes, do you see that big fat ugly guy right over there? And Scott goes, yeah, who is he? Big fat ugly guy. He goes, no, his name's Tom Shaw. You gotta go meet him. So Scott came over and met me and told me about his story in network marketing. And he and Juliet graduated from college and actually having their professors in their network marketing business. And he was doing this and doing that. And he was in some pain, and I just recognized it early. And it's been one gift from God, because it's another case in my life, just showing up and never ever saying no to anybody wanting to meet with you, anybody wanting to talk to you, anybody. Stop saying no. Stop not going to the coffee shop at the corner because you're too tired and you didn't do your hair. I go to the coffee shop on the corner with my curves in. So it's unbelievable. So the point I make to you, so anyway, the plan.
I wouldn't do that.
I know. I love to see if the boss was here. He is. So I love this plan. Anyway. So anyway, you guys, Scott Farduls is the man. And he does so many things better than I ever could in a million years. And that's what you want to find in your business. You're never going to be everything to everybody. But the power of this business is, even if you aren't, you can find somebody that is. And all I do all day long is look for people that are great at what I don't do well. And that list is long with me, and I'll never forget. Scott walked in the door, and we did this with Linda McCormick. We just sat there, we got on the whiteboard, and we drew circles. And we said, whose names are going to go in there? We did that with Marenko. Whose names are going to go in those circles? Chris Eversberg just showed me a graphic. Whose name's going to go in the circles? The professional network marketers sort everybody for the people that are going to fit in the circles. And then when they get those people, you know, you drop people right where they want to be. So with you, Ann Parker says this woman, Jen, is a absolute find. She's one of my 9. And once you identify it like that, it gets so easy because you realize you're just a tour guide and a talent scout. And you're dropping people where they want to be. And you have yourself such a standard of excellence for yourself that those 9 people want to rise up to your standard of excellence and be part of your 9. And what Scott did that day was magic, because he drew those 9 circles out. He said he was a little, he was very, very arrogant in those days, man. He was like, you take a picture of that because it's going to be this way. And I'm going to be there. I'm like, okay, big shot, let's go. I go get my Kodak and let me see if I can find some film and I'll take the picture. So I got the Kodak, put some film in and took the picture. And the rest is history. Because even though I might not have believed it, it doesn't matter whether I believed it or not. It mattered Scott believed it. And thoughts are things, and he took it and made it true. And today he's there's only 5 ambassadors in the whole company. And he and Juliet did it. So I think you should listen to him, because he's going to show you the 72-hour plan here for you to get from here to there. So what we did was we did the presentation with Denise and I. Then we did Juliet talking about leadership. Then we got a little touchy-feely with Denise. And now we're going back to hardcore business stuff right now. And then I'll close it with a little touchy-feely. Here we go, Scott Farduls. Kind of stuck to that paper, but I mean, that's disgusting.
There we go. More like now. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing?
Great.
Good. And hello to everybody on camera as well. If we haven't met before, my name is Scott Farduls, and I am super excited because it's Super Saturday, and I look forward to these training days that we do about once a month. And how many of you look forward to these as well? Same here. Well, good deal. So, Tom and Denise and Juliet just spent some amazing time today pouring out their hearts on topics that they really believe were relevant for all of you. So obviously the presentation is a big deal. And I think one of the things that we love about Super Saturday is you get to come and see experts present the plan. And the reason why that's relevant is because you want to see, oh yeah, that's how that's supposed to sound. That's what that's supposed to look like. That's how I do those transitions. That's where I insert my story. That's where I ask questions. That's how you transition. And if you don't ever learn how to do that, it's like handing somebody a bow and an arrow and just telling them to hit the target. Now, why do I use that as an example? Because I've never shot a bow and arrow until yesterday. And so yesterday, Juliet and myself, along with 2 people from our team, who are not here today because they're marrying off their brother and now a sister-in-law. So that's a good reason to not be at Super Saturday for a wedding. Don't you think that's a good reason? That's a good, valid reason, is if your family member is getting married and you have to be in the wedding. So they're not here today. That's Joel and Nikki Molly. And so Nikki Molly is an expert archer. I think that's the right terminology. She is a professional archer. How did she get that way? Her father is number 22 in the world for archery. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, he's sponsored, he's got all the big name brands that are behind him, and they give him bows, and they give him arrows, they give him all the equipment to use, and they want him to talk about their brand. And he does that for a living, professionally. He just competed about a month ago in the Las Vegas World International Tournament where he took 22nd. And so there's a target way out there somewhere, and there's a ring like this, and the rings get smaller and smaller and smaller until the inside ring is about that big. And when you're a long ways away, to take 10 arrows and put all of them inside that ring from the distance, that's a pretty big deal. So if you're 22 in the world, how do you decide who's 21 and 20 and 19 and all that if everybody's putting them in there? Because there's something in the middle of that little tiny circle, and it's an X. And the X is about as big around as the tip of my thumb at that distance. So they literally see how many times your arrow tip is touching that little X someplace, and that's how they decide it. And I'm a novice on this topic, And that's my interpretation of what I was told yesterday. So you'll have to leave it at that. But here's the point. You cannot put something like a bow and a set of arrows into someone's hands and saying, good luck, you'll figure it out. But so many times we do that in our business where we're just like, here's the business, good luck, you'll figure it out. Do you really seriously think that you're going to give somebody that PowerPoint presentation and say good luck? I don't think so. But everybody's like, oh man, can I get my hands on that PowerPoint presentation? I've got to get a copy of that. Really? So you can do what?
Good luck.
So you can good luck, right? So, I mean, seriously, are you going to go wing that? Do you think you're going to go sit down with somebody and wing that? Or do you think you're going to go stand in front of a group of people tomorrow and just wing that? If I was just to wing it yesterday with the bows and the arrows, the bow and arrows, if I was just going to wing that, I would have gotten up there, I wouldn't have known the etiquette because there's other people on the lane. What if I didn't know any better and I just said, oh, I'm done firing my arrows, and I just start walking down the lane to go grab my arrows out of the target? I could get hit in the back, right? I could put everybody else at risk. It could be a disaster recipe. And sometimes that's what happens in this business. We're not prepared to go off and speak and communicate effectively. And so what I really want to do is use that as an analogy and kind of show you what Juliet and I and many other people have learned how to do over time. How's that sound to you? Do you want to see what we learned how to do over time? And why now, in archery, not so much. I will tell you this was hilarious yesterday. So Juliet got hold of Nikki's compound bow. And it's like a, it's like a 50-pound compound bow, and it's set for her. It's all dialed in, and she's pretty strong. She's a pretty strong gal. Nikki's a strong gal. She works out, ferociously 4 or 5 days a week. And not to get big, she's just ripped, she's toned, she's strong. And so she had the ability to pull that compound bow back, and she put it in Juliet's hands and said, I don't know if you'll be able to use this bow, but why don't you just see? And Juliet got a hold of it. She's like, it's not working.
I can do it.
I know,
I
see?
can
Yeah, and Nikki's like, I thought that might be the case, but we had to start somewhere. I just wanted to see. And she goes, okay, I'll tell you what, let's put something else in your hands to get started. And she put her in what's called a recurve bow. And a recurve has no pressure, there's no compounding effects, there's no mechanics to it. It's just a bow with a string. And obviously, there is pressure in the shape of the bow, so that when the string is connected, when you pull it back, it pulls down on the tips and it creates pressure. When you release, there's forward thrust. So, you like my explanation of how a bow and arrow works? I'm not even using the right terms. I got engineers in the back row. So you get the picture, right? Okay, so she goes and pulls that back and says, okay, this works. And that's what mattered for her. That worked. You had to start at the basics. That worked. We went all the way down to the bare bones minimum of possibilities, and that's where Juliet started yesterday. And you know what? It was amazing because there were experts on this lane of archers, and they were really skilled. So Juliet gets up there, and her first draw on that bow, she lets it go, and that arrow went. No, that was not the first. Hold on. No. What happened and she's holding the bow. There's a picture of the bow she was using. And look at the smile. The smile is worth 1,000 words. You can obviously see what ultimately happened. That did not happen on the first attempt. The first one went sailing all the way to the back of the room and flew into probably the innocent bystanding elk in the back or something. And the second one, and so she didn't even hit the big square, the whole thing holding up the target. She didn't even touch that. Didn't even come close. The next one she let fly went underneath, and it hit the ground and skipped around and ricocheted all over the room. And then the third one she pulled did exactly that. That was the third one, which was so shocking that everybody there was like, what? The woman who just like flew arrows all over creation with no rhyme or reason, it did that? Seriously? And we were like all like jumping up and down. She like skipped down the lane. She goes, any questions? So there is the evidence of that actually occurring. If you had her do that 20 more times, I don't know that she would pull that off again quite that fast. So sometimes you do have, and this is a good lesson as well, sometimes you have beginner's luck, yes or no? Sometimes you have beginner's luck, and oftentimes that's dangerous. Because then you're like, oh, no problem, I got this. You know, you're so excited, it's like a false sense of security. And then it goes to your head, suddenly your ego gets big, and you're like, I'm a great shot. Really? You're a great shot when you do what Nikki's father did, and you repeatedly put them into the center of the little circle, and you hit that X almost every single time, as if your life depended on it. That's what happens inside of longevity. When you leave your ego at the door and you realize we cannot afford to take risks or chances on people, because people in this business are targets, and you have to hit the target. If you miss the target and someone knows that you were shooting an arrow at them, they're going to run away into the forest and you're not going to see them again. Does that analogy make sense to you? So you've got to hit the mark. And it's so dangerous in this industry, in the people industry, when we're just letting arrows fly. And that's why people say, somebody's after me, they're coming for me, I don't want anything to do with this, I'm being chased down, I'm being hunted, it feels like it's overwhelming. And if that's what you have to do to people, I don't want to do that. Can you relate to this? Yes? Okay. So there's something called the 72-hour game plan. If you're taking notes, you can write that down. Tom just used a great visual. Denise hinted and alluded at as well. Juliet did as well. But here's what I want you to think. You are going hunting, and you're a fisher of men and women. Okay? You're a fisher of men and women. And this is a hunting expedition. You're on the prowl to save someone's life. That's what you're doing. You're hunting and fishing for men and women in whose lives you can save. Not kill, whose lives you can save. You got the visual? Okay. So the 72-hour rule is extremely important. You all saw what a really good presentation should look like, how it should sound. You're at ease. You're telling stories. You're not even looking up there. You don't need to glance back and read what's on the screen or the slide. And the reason you don't need to read all that information is because then you don't need a presenter. Why would you need a presenter if someone's like, well, they didn't even stick to the slide. They didn't even really talk about what was on the, it's a reference. You can glance up there. You can look at what's on the slide. If you want to read every word up there, go for it. But it's just a reference. Your job is to talk about your real life experiences as it relates to that topic, and that's a solidifying cornerstone in the presentation. So just talk, be you. You know, if I invite you to coffee and we go sit down, I'm not saying, okay, Marinko, so let's see here. How was your day yesterday? There you go. Right? And then I don't say, okay, so Marinko, that was a really good answer. What did you do last night when you got home? You see how weird that is? That's like corny, it's awkward, that's not true, that's not you, that's not authentic. You have to be real, you have to be sincere, you have to be authentic, you have to be normal. If you don't act normal, smell normal, look normal, be who you already are in the eyes of the people you already know, then they go, what is wrong with you? Are you part of some weird deal? And if I have to act and look like you, I am not going to do that. They want to be around you because they like being around you before you got into this corny business. Got it? So don't change just because you're in longevity. Still be you. You're just now in longevity, still being you. So now you got the presentation. What happens when the presentation is over? When whoever is doing the presentation, when Tom was done doing the presentation, what we would do as soon as it was over is we would, depending on the size of the number of guests we had, whether it was 1 guest or 5 guests or 10 guests, depending on the number of people that we were responsible for bringing to that presentation, I would either turn to them and I positioned myself so I could see them. I'd be looking at them. not side by side like this, craning my neck and they're craning their neck. That's not how you have a normal conversation. When you go to a coffee shop and sit down with people, you don't sit side by side. When you go to a restaurant and you have a meal, you're not sitting side by side. You're sitting across each other so you can look into each other's eyes, so you have a good view, a good angle to communicate normal. So now the event is over. You turn to your person and you stare at them in the eyes, and here's where you're going to decide whether someone's going to get involved or they're not going to get involved. You turn to them, and with confidence, I would say, Drew, now you know why I have been so excited to talk to you, because I knew this business was going to have a huge impact on you. All those things you talked about with me, this is the solution. You can see that, can't you? And Drew goes, yes. And I say, phenomenal. Drew, what I want to do, and you pull it out, is I'm going to register you right now into longevity, and the first thing I need to know is, how would you like to pay for that? Would it be best for you to pay in cash, or would it be better for you to use a debit or a credit card?
I'll use a debit card.
There you go. He said, I'll use a debit card. And that's the order of the next person who speaks. I make a validating comment based on the interview that was conducted before he showed up to the meeting. What do I mean by a validating comment? Well, we had a conversation before the event even occurred. I know why he came to the meeting. Do you know why your prospect came to the meeting? If you don't know why your prospect came to the meeting, then you are just being a body dragger. That's not a good idea. Why would you just drag somebody into a scenario, a situation, a meeting, an event, and they don't even know why they came? That's not a good idea, because now this is about you, it's not about them. You want to have an interview in advance so you know something significant, like Denise talked about. There's something going on in somebody's life, and that's okay. And they've got to have a good place to start regardless of their situation, and that's okay. You've got to know why and what about that person that allows you to invite them to this event, because something's going to get better in their life because they attended. So here they are. And that validating comment, can you now see when we were talking the other day why I was so confident that this would be the solution you were looking for? I'm so excited to team up with you in this, Drew. I can hardly stand it. How would you like to get started? I've got an application right here. Would a debit card, credit card, or paying cash be best for you? And then zip it. Don't say another word. The person who speaks next is in trouble. So if I start talking first, I'm in trouble. If he starts talking first, we're good to go. So he says the next words, and he says, well, I'll pay with the debit card. Fantastic. Don't redo the plan. This is another thing that people get into trouble with. They start redoing the plan. They start telling you what an expert they are on things. And they start talking about the products all over again. You understand that when someone's ready to go, just get them started and then do training later. Don't start training now before they're engaged into the company. So now you got an application. Why do you want to take a paper app? Because you have no idea if your cell phone battery is going to go dead in that moment. You have no idea if the Wi-Fi is working in the building that you're in. What if you cannot get online? Are you going to say, oh man, this really stinks. I'm not even able to get online right now. So now you're putting a negative thing. You're out of control in something. What I know for sure is that there's a paper app. I can fill that out right now, and I can take that back to the house, and I'll go fill that in myself into the computer system later. I've got everything I need on that paper app. Does that make sense? Yeah, and that's quick. It's painless. It's no big deal. It's over. Okay? That's how you end a meeting. If they say, okay, well, before we get registered, I've got a couple questions. I say, great, fire away. And they ask me their questions, and I say, here's the answer. Or better yet, hey, here's an expert over here. Let me have them help out with this answer. I'm new myself, and I'm not sure that I could give you an accurate answer. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm kind of new too, and I'm learning the ropes, but let me grab an expert here and have them answer the question. And then when you're done answering those questions, you say, did I answer those questions to your satisfaction? It's a yes or no question. They say, no, I actually came up with something else. Great, what's your next question? Answer the question. Did I answer your question satisfactorily? Yes, perfect. So would you like to pay with a credit card, a debit card, or would you like to pay with cash? Back to the same question. See, it's the same question. Get to the place to where they're in the business with as few words as possible, as little conversation as possible, because once they're in, they're very likely to commit to taking action on what you're about to train them on. You follow what I'm saying? Okay, is this making sense to everybody online? And by the way, if you've got a question online while we're going through this, fire that in on the chat bar, and we'll have your question asked, and we'll get that answered for you while we're training here for just a little bit. Okay, do you all have a question about what happens at the end of the meeting? Did what I share make crystal clear sense, or are you confused about something? Anybody? Everybody's good?
That's clear.
Crystal clear?
Clear.
Perfect. Now, if you've got more than one person, got a question?
Yes. So ask Scott, what if they are not ready, even if you've answered their questions?
So define not being ready. So while you're doing that, I'm going to make up a scenario. They say, well, this sounds really great and all. I'm just not ready to get started. I'd say, that's really interesting to me. Because when we had a conversation last week and we were sitting down having coffee together, you mentioned this was a challenge and this was a challenge. I just showed you how to solve that. I just answered your questions. What exactly is holding you up from wanting to get to that solution a little bit quicker? Right? There is a reason. They're scared about something, so let's have it out. Tell me why you're scared. Because I'm going to help you get over your fear factor right now. Not later on. See, here's what a lot of people will do. They're like, okay, well, you know, when the timing is more right, or you know, why don't you get back to, they're not going to get back to you. They're not going to call you back. They're not going to get back with you. They're not going to have a follow-up. It's right now. So if there's a challenge, tell me what it is. I'll help you process and get through this fear factor you have right now. So now they're going to tell me a story. Well, since we met last week for coffee, here's what happened in my life. And I hear that story, and I say, wow, that's, I understand. Let's talk about that. And you do. And your job is to be a friend, your job is to listen, and your job is to assure them that they still have issue A, issue B, and issue C, and this is the solution. If there was a better solution, Drew, could you let me know what that is? Do you have a better solution? No. So here I am, here we are, here this is, here longevity is, and I just showed you how exactly we're going to solve A, B, and C. So would you like to use a credit card, a debit card, or would you like to pay cash? This is what people are actually afraid of. They're afraid to ask people to make a commitment. Why are we so scaredy pants? Why are we so afraid to ask people to make a commitment? We shouldn't be afraid to ask them to make a commitment. You have their best interest at heart, period. That's why we're here, is because you're saving their life. Someone saved yours, you're here right now. Somebody literally saved your life. You may not see it that way, I choose to. I choose to see that we are on a life-saving mission, and that's how important this is. I personally see this as ministry. We're constantly serving other people, helping other people, changing people's lives, loving on people, showing them what true friendship looks like, being authentic, being real, caring about them for who they can be versus where they are in their life right now. It's about betterment and improvement. Okay, so any other question on that?
I know, she says a great response. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, now the meeting's over. Now it's time to get started. So this is not like, okay, now you're in the business, so we'll get together for coffee next week or come to the next meeting. No, that's not the game plan. Here's the game plan. We all come together in a huddle, okay? You're in the huddle, and someone's acting as the quarterback, and the quarterback calls the plays. The quarterback says, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. In this business, we all do exactly the same thing. We all do exactly the same thing. So the first thing you have to do is you have to help that person understand the value of the products that they just purchased. And the reason why is because you want them to have an experience or a testimony as quickly as possible. And in the next 72 hours, we call this the 72-hour game plan. In the next 72 hours, you want them to come back to you and say, here's what I love about the products. They tasted great. I felt this way. I got a better night's sleep. I had more spring in my step. I woke up more refreshed. I'm just giving you like things that people commonly say when they use our products. And you assure them in the next 3 days, you're going to have an experience. And whatever it is, big or small, we want to hear about it. So now they have an assignment, don't they? They're on notice. In 3 days from now, I'm supposed to give a report on how great those products are working for me. If I have to give a report on how great the products are working for me, are you going to leave the products in the box?
No.
Not likely, at least, right? And you, as a good upline, the very next day should call them and say, hey, what are your favorite products so far? What do you like most about the products you used yesterday? You're putting them on notice. 3 days is clicking away. 72 hours is coming. So now they're really taking and using the products. They open up the box, all the bottles are open. Yes.
72 hours. They have to order their CEO pack, they would wait 5 days for it to come in.
Yes.
When does the 72 hours start?
Right now. Because when you signed up, I'm going to put something in your hands to hold you over for 3 or 4 days. Yep, that's why I need the products. You see, this is very, very important. That was a good logical question. Well, the question was, what do I do if in 72 hours they haven't even gotten their CEO pack yet? My answer is, I already thought about that. I've got to guess what Juliet and I do is we make little sample bags. And we put stuff that's inside of there that are going to be in their CEO pack. We drop them in there and we put that in their hands. When they got their CEO, I don't give samples to anybody that isn't committed to the business. You think a sample is going to sell somebody and convince them to join Longevity? The products don't make people join Longevity. You get people to join Longevity. Do you see that? Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yes, 100%.
Denise, do you agree with that?
Totally.
Totally?
Yep.
Tom said 100%. Denise is over here. She said totally. Juliet, do you agree with that? Absolutely. Okay. That you walk into a boutique and you're looking at dresses, ladies, or you're looking at shoes. Shoes don't sell themselves. Why do you think there's employees in there? They come over there and they say, you're looking at these shoes. These would look great on you. Why don't you put them on? What's your size? See, that's an expert that is there with you. They want you to put the shoes on. They want you to buy the shoes. They want you to take the shoes home. They want you to be a product of the product. If you don't like the shoes, bring the shoes back and we'll replace them for you or give you a refund. Isn't that common? Yeah, it's the same thing with us. Emotional engagement. It's how we work in the people skills industry. Emotional engagement. You imagine how you're going to feel when you're on these products. You imagine what it's going to look like when you get your first bonus check for $13. You imagine what it's going to be like when your $13 bonus check turns into a $213 bonus check and a $3,013 bonus check and a $30,013 bonus check. That's what you start to imagine with your person. And they're going, you know what? No one's ever showed me a plan like this before. I better get started. So we got our sample bags. Not to get out samples. It's to put products in their hands that they already committed to, and this is going to hold them over for the next 3 days so they end up with that testimony. And then by the time their box shows up, their CEO pack, it's like, oh man, this is great, just in time. I love the way I feel. I love the way this tasted. This is great. This gets to replace all these other things. I just simplified my life, etc. Now, if you're down the road a little bit, another strategy makes sense as well. If you had an extra CEO pack or two on hand, that's not a bad thing, is it? That's not a bad thing. This is a business. If you want to have an extra CEO pack or 2 or 3 on hand to put into the hands of your person that just got one, you can order their CEO pack and have it shipped back to you instead of shipping it to them. See how that works? Very smooth. Very smooth. Here's your CEO pack. I'll place the order for you now, and we're gonna put the send to address to me so that it comes back to me. So on this round, you won't expect anything to come to you, it's gonna come back to me. However, your auto ship has just begun, so just in time ordering, when you get your CPO pack and you start using it every day, you're gonna run out of those 90 essential nutrients, and that will show up to your doorstep as an auto ship. Isn't that cool? Isn't that smooth? Okay, now, that's number one, being a product of the product. Number two, I take everybody. Instantaneously, I say, pull out your cell phone. And they do. And I say, okay, Android or iPhone, and they tell me, and I say, great, go to your app store or your Google store or whatever your deal is, and download the Longevity Go-To app. You know why I haven't downloaded that app? Because inside that app is a really good method for taking this plan, taking our resources. You can build a quick list, hot and cold leads. You can start people that way, and now you've got something that's really simple to use. It's got all their information right there. It's already in their phone, and instantaneously, you have a list built. They've got a cold list, and they've got a hot list. I just show them how to swipe left or right. It's very simple. It's very basic. Nothing complex about it. And in the next 3 days, I want you to have that done. I want you to go through all your contacts, swipe left or right, and bring back your list to me. I want to see your hot list, and I want to see your cold list. It's not a big deal. They're done. In 3 days, they have that list. At the same time, we're going to number 3, we're going to set their first 4 appointments. This is number 3. 1, product of the product. 2, list. And 3, we're going to invite and schedule your first 4 appointments. Got it? Everybody online? You with me? Okay, you're gonna set your first 4 appointments. But, fatal flaw, you do not allow your people, your brand new person, they're not allowed to contact or call any of those people. Do not do it. You have to emphasize this as badly as you want to, because you're like a little kid in a candy store or a little kid the night before Christmas. Do not allow your brand new person to just cold cock it and start calling up people with just raw enthusiasm and just blah, because that's what happens. So you got to teach them to invite. And you have to understand there's 3 different tiers of people to invite. The high tier is people you look up to. These are people you respect. They're super successful. They've been around the block. They may make, a couple $100,000 a year, drive fancy cars, live in nice homes. You might kind of get nervous thinking about talking to those people. Those are people you look up to. Then there's people that are your peers. They're your equals. They might be in the same place socioeconomically. You might have a lot of commonalities. You might see them around. There's a comfort level with these people. You see them at your kids' basketball games every week. You hang out in social circles. You go to church with these people. They're just equals. They're your peers. They're comfortable. Then there's the people that look up to you. These are the people that when you enter the room, they're a little bit loud. These are people that are probably younger than you in many cases. They'd like to be you in a few ways. And when you say jump, they say how high. Those are the 3 categories. Everybody clear on the 3 categories? People that look up to you, people that are your equals, and people that you look up to. There's a little bit different invite for each of those categories of people. And so the same invite isn't going to work on each of those individuals. Let me give you an example of how I might communicate with each of those tiers. Would you like to hear that? Yeah. Yes?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. If I was going to talk to somebody that was somebody that I looked up to, I might call them up and I might say, hey, Chris, do you have a couple seconds for me? See how I'm hat in hand? Do you have a couple minutes for me? And Chris says, yeah, sure, Scott, what's going on? And I say, you know what, Chris? I know how successful you've been. I know that you've been around the block a lot. And I'll tell you, when I sit back and I think about whose life I'd really like to have one that kind of represented where I'd like to go, you kind of came to mind. And I'm really flattered that you would give me a few minutes of time right now. Here's what I want you to know. I really believe that I'm on the verge of something really powerful. And I know I don't have the ability to do what you do in your world. And it's probably going to be pretty tough for me to duplicate some of the things that you've done from a business standpoint to get where you are. It might be a tough road for me to hoe. So what I'm really interested in is if you would be willing to look at my business plan and tell me what's wrong with it. Would you do me that favor, Chris?
Sure.
Would you look at my business plan and tell me if you see a flaw with this strategy? Because I'm really excited about it right now. See, if you do that, that individual is likely to say, yeah, this person's reaching out to me for help. They're reaching up to me. They just praised me as being an expert in business. Very flattering, very edifying. And now it would not look well on Chris if he said, no, I'm really not interested in giving you a hand. I really don't care what you're up to. So probably not. Thanks anyway, Scott. Have a great day. That's probably not likely to happen. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the way you feel about it. Now notice what I said and what I didn't say. I didn't pitch him on longevity, did I? Did I attempt to make a sale of any kind whatsoever? No. Did I drop names that could be potentially harmful for him or me just because of Google? Did I drop Dr. Wallach's name? Did I drop longevity's name? Did I drop any names or labels on products or anything like that? No. But here's what I know. I know we have something called the plan. And I know that if Chris were to see the plan, don't you think that something additional would be going through his mind with the plan? Because he'd be thinking, Scott asked me to tell him what's wrong with this plan, but in fact, I'm seeing a lot of things that are right. And in fact, I see a few things that could actually help me in my life. See how that might be beneficial? Yeah. So that's what I do. I don't judge Chris just because he's already successful or I look up to him. I'm not determining in advance like, wow, Chris could really use these products. I don't know if he's going to think that or not. So why would I just throw him into that category like Chris could really use these products? I know Chris could use the products. He doesn't know he could use the products. But as soon as I say, I've got some great products and you could really use them, now he knows I want to sell him something. Do you agree with that, Denise?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Juliet? Tom, do you agree?
100%.
Okay, still 100%. Good. I'm just waiting for him to say, well, that was about 98%. All right, so that's how you invite somebody and you get an appointment with somebody that's up here in your mind. Yes?
So you said you were gonna send something to him. Was that more like an appointment, or would you actually send something through email?
If I said that, I don't recall saying that.
Okay.
So what I would do is say, I would like to have you look at my business plan and tell me if you see a problem with it.
In person.
In person. In person, well, and technically, what I would love to do is find another person in the business. If I can get access to this person, I'd get somebody else in longevity that is at Chris's level. So if I'm new and I'm being the example of this, I'd call up Denise and I'd say, hey Denise, I just reached out to somebody on my chicken list. They are like way up here, out of my league. I got the appointment. Would you mind coming with me to this appointment? And I tell Chris in advance so he wasn't surprised. I'd say, hey, listen, Chris, as I mentioned to you, I'm excited about the path I'm on. And I respect you enough because I value your opinion. I want you to tell me if you see a problem with this plan. Would you mind, since I'm probably not going to be the best person to answer some of the questions you're likely to have, would you mind if I invited a friend of mine, her name is Denise, to accompany us? And now he knows. Pretty simple. And then when I get to that table, when we sit down, I'm going to say, hey, Chris, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you came to sit down at this table with us right here. And obviously, I wanted Denise to come because she's kind of at your level. She's an expert at what we do, and you're an expert at what you do. And so I just make the introduction, and I would edify Denise. I'd introduce the two of them together, and that would be the last thing I said. My mouth wouldn't come open again unless Denise asked me a question or Chris asked me a direct question. But if they're not talking to me, I say nothing. If I interject, I create a problem in the conversation that those two are having because I might have opened up some can of worms or derailed their conversation and taken it down a trail it didn't need to go down. All for what? So that I could feel important about sitting at the table? My need to be ended the moment that I asked Denise to show up at that table. You agree, Denise?
Yeah, that's one of the most important parts that people don't really get.
Yes.
Just be quiet.
Just be quiet. Hit the fatal flaw is mouth coming open for the new person. Yes.
If they're out of state, how do you go about it?
I use the wonderful tool. There's several on the market. I just happen to like Zoom. So I would use Zoom. And then there we all are. It's the best thing for getting face-to-face with people without actually being face-to-face. Good enough? Okay, so here's some. Hey, John, before you leave, could I use you for just a second? Okay, so not you specifically, but just real quickly here. I'm gonna show you something that's really powerful. Caroline, would you stand up for a second? And let's see, Dana, would you stand up? And let's see, Drew, please stand up. Brenda, please stand up. Ronnie, please stand up. Marinko and Diane, please stand up. Alice, please stand up. Sharon, please stand up. Robert, please stand up. John, please stand. Let's see here. Dr. K, please stand up.
Juliet.
No, not Juliet. And Joanne, please stand up. Lisa, please stand up. All right, so these people right here, there's at least 9, right? Yeah, okay, good. So the reason I had these people stand up is because these are individuals that we invited to join us in our business. They're influential people. And so remember when Tom was talking about 9? This is Super Saturday. The reason why I wanted you to see this is because I wanted you to know that Juliet and I are not lip service. We're not telling you something and then not practicing what we preach. And by the way, this is just the influencers that we invited and enrolled into Longevity that are in this room. Let alone the people that potentially are online, let alone the people right now that are somewhere else in the world in those 17 other countries that are conducting their own Super Saturdays, doing their own meetings and showing their own plans and doing the 72-hour game plan and building their teams of people. When you show up, thank you, you can sit down. When you show up like this, you now have a shot. So I want you to think about something because I'm going to call on you. Answer the question in your head and then be prepared to give an answer because I might call on you. Why did you come here today? Why did you come? What are you doing here? You could be at a kid's basketball game right now. It's basketball season. There's tournaments going on. You could have said, I don't want to go out because I've got a really good reason. Everybody would understand. The roads are bad to the south of here. It snowed pretty hard. There's black ice. There was snow on the roads. It's cold outside. It's Saturday morning. Why didn't you do that? Some people did that. Do you understand that Juliet and I have never missed a meeting? Just let that sink in. We've never called up Denise and said, you know, Denise,
It's cold.
it's cold. You know, and then just made up a story. We've never done that, ever. One time. I've never called Tom on the phone and said, Tom, I don't feel like playing today. At least I don't have that recollection. Do you have a recollection of that? Have you ever had me call and say, I don't feel like playing today?
A few times. No, never.
Okay, he was joking. He said never, never. Okay, no, and it's because it's true. We have not done that. Now, there are times when you might notice that we're not here on a Super Saturday, but let there be no mistake that we're not at this Super Saturday. We're at another Super Saturday. We're traveling somewhere else through the world. We're out of the country. We're in the Philippines. We're in Japan. We're in Hong Kong. We're in Mexico. We're in Canada this weekend. We're someplace where we're doing business, so don't ever be mistaken. If you don't see our faces in the room that you're in, it doesn't mean that we're not playing today. It means we're playing somewhere else, but we're still on the same team. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you have to have the same mentality, that you're always going to show up no matter what, come hell or high water, rain or shine, cloudy, rainy, snowy, hailing, whatever it is. We will drive through if we told somebody there's a meeting, we're going to the meeting. And if there's a foot of snow on the road, we're still going to the meeting. And we do have a vehicle to handle a foot of snow, but if we didn't, I'd call up somebody that did, and I'd find a way to still get to the meeting. Because here's what happens. The first time you come up or create or craft up a story for why you didn't show up, it's the beginning of the end for you. You will never create a culture of consistency. You will never create a culture of habits. You will never create a culture of, I will do whatever it takes, because you just put out the message that there are some excuses. And if one excuse will do, all of them will do. Yes or no?
Yes.
The moment you make an excuse is the moment that all other possible excuses just became eligible. Because who's to judge one excuse over another? Isn't a sin a sin? Isn't a lie a lie? Isn't a crime a crime? Yes? No?
Yes.
Just an example. Okay, so that's what I want you to get in your head. Caroline, where did you come from today? Where did you originate from when you decided to come to Super Saturday? Grand Junction.
Wow.
4-hour drive, let alone the weather conditions, right? Was there any snow coming up over the passes at all? Did you find some weather along the way? Good. So she could have the best excuse. If she made it here, now you can start to see what could mine possibly be. Yeah, I think Dr. K said it one time. I heard him give an example of yeah, the only time I'm not showing up is for my own funeral. That's a pretty good statement. Yeah, the only reason he wouldn't come is if his own funeral took precedence. I think that's a pretty good response. I'd like to live by that. I really would. Okay, so we got through number 1, products. We got through number 2, your list. We got through number 3. Now you need to learn the invites, and I gave you one example of an invite. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Here's your peers. These are your equals. I call up Marinko and I say, hey Marinko, you got a couple minutes? My friend, my buddy, whatever your lingo is, whatever you say, however you normally talk to people, don't get weird on your friends now. Be the same person you already were. Hey Marinko, how's it going, man? It's going good. Hey, I've only got a couple minutes. Is this a good time or should I call you back later? And he goes, no, it's a great time. And I say, perfect. Hey, listen, I got to make a few more calls, but I want you to know you were on my mind. I've known you for how long now? 10, 15? Actually, it's probably closer to 20 years. I've known you a pretty long time. And I can think back to several conversations we've had, and those are playing in my head right now, and I want you to know I'm onto something. Like, not like any something, I'm onto something big, like life-changing. Some of the things we've talked about, I think they get caught up in this conversation. Hey, Marinko, I don't want to go into the details right now with you because it's way too exciting. It's way too big. What I really want to know is if you'd be willing to sit down and explore some possibilities on how your family could be improved physically and financially and relationally. Would you be willing to have that conversation with me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. I just got an appointment. That's it. I painted a picture and he's like, that sounds good. That sounds good. Yep, Scott's right about that. We have talked about those things. We have processed those things. Validating, yes, yep. He's got my best interest at heart. That's speaking my language. I will definitely meet with him. That's all he had to do in his head. That's it. Yes, Drew.
So would you say like just all those conversations that you've had before, that was like your interview where you're showing them the plan?
Yes, that was my interview right there. That was it. So now when I get to the table, when we sit down and talk, we're going to take a deeper dive. I'm not just sitting down to show him the plan. I just wanted to find out if he was open-minded to, what did I say? What were the exact words I used? If he was open-minded to what?
Exploring possibilities.
Exploring possibilities. See, I just found out that he's a candidate because he was willing to explore possibilities on what? Explore possibilities on improving the quality of his life, physically, financially, and relationally. Makes sense, doesn't it? Who wouldn't want to explore those possibilities? You'd have to be boring to not want to explore possibilities like that. So now we sit down, and now I'll take a deeper dive on that interview process.
Now, if I say no, do you just go to the next person?
I wouldn't. With you, I wouldn't. I'd say, Marinko, what's going on, man? Last time we talked, what's changed? Are you like busier than all busy? Tell me something. And now you're gonna tell me a story. And I'm gonna listen with no judgment. And if you say, Scott, you know, the reality is it doesn't matter what it is. It's not you. It's not what you're asking me. Reality is I'd love to do that, but right now, 1, 2, 3, 4. These things are so stressful in my life. I can't even think or hear what you got to say to me. And that's just being honest. And that's about the only reason I park it, is if somebody was really in a position like that. But now I put that whole agenda aside, and I'd be like, Marinko, that's serious stuff. I want to help you. What do I need to do? Who do I need to be for you? How can I show up to affect you and eliminate that stress for you? That's all that matters in this moment. You need me to drive there for you? I'll come. You need me to go fix that for you? I'll do it. You need to borrow my car? I'll bring it right over. You need $100? Here you go. See? That's where he's at. Now we get past that and solve that, and he sees me show up in that moment. I'll know when the moment's over, and I'll come back and say, hey, Marinko, I'm so glad we got to team up on that. I'm glad that's in the rearview mirror. Better time now to explore some possibilities. See? So that's it. Being sensitive to where somebody's at. Meanwhile, I'll genuinely help with that topic or that set of topics. At the same time, I'm moving on. I'm not like, well, you know, when Marinko's ready, then my business will take off. That's a fatal flaw. If I put all my eggs in one human being's basket, that's going to be a tough deal. So I got to be willing to move on to person number 2, still being sensitive to him, checking in, hearing, helping, and moving on. Just like you would if you had a job and you had responsibilities 8, 10 hours a day, you still have to do that job. Marinko's not expecting you to get fired from your job or not go to work tomorrow. Now, if it was an emergency and he's a close enough friend, I'd call in and take a sick day. So still use your head. That's how I would invite somebody that was here. Somebody that looks up to me, I'd call them up and I'd say, hey, Drew, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I've got a whole bunch of people coming over to my house. I'd like for you to be there. You're free tomorrow night at 7, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Perfect. So I don't want you to be surprised by anything. I've got some successful people over. We're going to be talking about some stuff that I know is going to have an impact on you and your family. It's going to involve money. It's going to involve free time and improvement for your family. I know you got a new kid and all. I want to make sure that you're set up. We're going to go through some details I think are going to really impact your life. You open to that?
Absolutely.
Great. And a story. So, you know, people that look up to you, you can get more to the point. They're just like, oh, wow, that person wants a little bit of my time. I get to come hang over, you know, out at their house and hobnob with some cool people. I'm in. That's it. So I just gave you 3 examples of invites on how to talk to these people. Your job is, Chad, would you do me a favor and bring me that whiteboard just real quick? Your job is to realize that you have one responsibility, and that is to, right there, it's perfect. That is to communicate with people until you have 9 people with a dream. If you don't have 9 people that have submitted a dream, I mean, like totally submitted, where they go, here's my dream. Steve and Dee Blackburn are here today. They went on a mission trip last week, and as Juliet said, she contracted a major virus or bug of some kind, and we're not wanting her to be here right now. So they're home. But when we did this exercise with Steve and Dee, you get that right up front. A person with a dream is a person who won't quit. A person without a dream is a person that will leave tomorrow. Because they don't know what they're fighting for. They don't know what they're working for. They don't know why they're here. It was about you. It wasn't about them. So the way I make it about them in the interview process is, what do you want more than anything in this whole wide world? No borders, no boundaries, go nuts, lay it on me, get ridiculous, get obscene, get crazy, get emphatic. What makes you cry? What gives you value? What stops you in your tracks? What makes you stay up late at night? What makes you choose to get up in the morning even when you're not a morning person? What just makes your heart race? What puts a spring in your step and a sparkle in your eye? And now it's their turn to talk. Let them fill in the blanks. And here's the fastest way to do it. Take out your smartphone, turn on the voice recorder, lay it on the table, and do the interview. And let them go nuts. So the whole time you can look them in the eyes and go, that's amazing. That is so cool. Or I can say, unpack that some more. Tell me more about that. It sounds like you're holding back a little bit. Don't hold back. Go farther, deeper, wider, longer. Lay it out there. You're on a track. I think you're on volume 1. Tell me volume 2. See how detailed you can get? And you encourage that, and you draw it out of them. And now you've got a documented voice file. When it's over, you hit end, you label your file, and you've got it forever. And the moment that person starts to get cold, or clammy, or start playing smaller, or not putting it all out there, it's the moment you say, hey Drew, could we spend about 10 minutes together? Because that's how long the voice recording was. And Drew goes, yeah, we could do that. I'm gonna say, hey listen, I've noticed some things about you lately, and I want you to tell me if you disagree. I want to play something for you. Play. And don't say a word. The whole time, I'm just watching Drew's expression. I'm reading his body language, and I'm watching him squirm, and I'm watching him get shifty, and his eyes are moving around. And then he has a hard time looking at me because he's about ready to get emotional. Because he's like, you're right. There's nothing else to say. It's not like, hey, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What's your problem? You said. It's not about guilt. It's like, let's bring this back to you. Not about me, it's about you. That's why a documented recording of someone telling you their dream early on, there is no agenda. This is the real deal. So my voice thing is riddled with people's interviews where I have their dream. I've got it captured. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Could you do that?
That's a good use of it.
That's a good use. That might be one of the best uses of technology.
Then they hear themselves.
Them to hear themselves. You can capture that and put that in front of somebody, that's a big deal. You never lose it. You keep it and it's archived. I got them right there.
Ask them first. It's okay. It's your word.
No. It's obvious. I'll tell them, I don't ever, hey, your response is so powerful to me, I never want to forget one pause, one emphasized word, one emotional statement. I don't want to miss a metaphor. I don't want to miss a simile. I don't want to miss anything. Play. Drew, I want you to go nuts. You just saw what I saw. What is it that matters more to you than anything? And the interview is on. And that right there is the most important interview you will ever have in your life. Because the moment someone stops going like this and they start going like that, that's when the voice recorder comes out. You forgot what you were fighting for. You forgot what was important. But I didn't, because I got it right here. And I'm thinking about you in this moment, and I want to get us back on track. I've got 24 hours in a day, so do you. There's only so many people that I can put my attention to, and all I want you to know is it should say something to you that I took the time to recall this recording here. What do you say? And that's a good way to get somebody refocused. See how that works? Yep. Okay, yes.
So when you ask them to share your dreams and whatnot, like if that's pretty much like right at the beginning, like after they love the products and things like that, and they're ready to just start building, like is that pretty much the first conversation?
Yeah, so the question is, when does this dream conversation come up? And I think it's a series of conversations, quite frankly. I think there's a level that it takes to bring someone to the table. I think that it gets looked at again after they come to the table. And I think there's another time that once they really understand the depth and the impact and the power of what this company has to offer, I think there's a third time. And then there's the understanding that you never stop dreaming. Juliet and I play this exercise on ourselves all the time. It's fuel in our gas tank. We want to be revved up too. And so we have that happen, and we re-record our dreams over and over again, and we'll get them, and we got to be constantly making new ones. We got to keep raising the bar. If there's just one bar, then you're going to get closer to that bar. And the closer you get to the bar you set, the more bored you become. So you got to change the bar. You got to elevate the bar. People that work on vertical jump, the first time they jump up, they might have a 12-inch vertical jump. But then they start practicing and they start exercising and they start doing the skills to develop the jumping muscles. And then the next time they come back and test, they're jumping up to 18 inches. You know who Luke is in longevity? You know Luke? Yeah. How many of you know Luke? Come on. Luke Tafuri, you know? Okay, he's in charge of the whole global operations internationally. This guy is like 6'3" maybe? I'd say he's about 6'3". His vertical jump, not today, his vertical jump in college was 42 inches. He could dunk playing basketball any way he jolly well pleased. And he was like a spectacle. And so I asked him, I said, hey, I've got a kid that's playing basketball right now. How can I teach him to get a better vertical jump? And he's like, this is what I did. I'm thinking, you know what? I haven't met a lot of people with a 42-inch vertical jump, but I'll take his advice because that's pretty good advice. And so that's why we're teaching this 72-hour game plan. So now you got the 4 appointments, but you got to teach them the invite first. You got the list. Now you got to set the appointment. And when they go set the appointment, when they're done setting the appointment, they need to give a report. How did that go? How did that go? Because if you just let them go off and they come back and say, yeah, I made like 10 phone calls already and nobody said yes, that's a problem. Because remember hitting that bullseye? You got to get it to where you make a phone call and they say yes. Because in my mind, literally, like, I'm not exaggerating a percent. If I call up somebody and I go to set an appointment, I have only one expectation. We're getting together. There is no other option. Why would they not want to? I've already asked them a series of questions to know before I invite them to come to the table with me. I already know what their hot buttons are. There's the interview. There's the dream. Once I have the interview done and I've got that dream captured, now I can make that invite. Why wouldn't they say yes? It's all about them. So literally, I would think if I asked 100 people to sit down and have a conversation with me, I don't think any of them are going to say no. I think I'm going to bat 100 for 100 if I invite somebody to sit down and explore possibilities. There's only a few examples of why someone will back out of that, and I already know that they're not in that category of pulling one of those on me by the time I ask them to get together. That's how you get appointments. Can you do that? Can you see how your batting average is going to go up with your mentality? All right, so now you've got those 4 appointments. Where are those going to be held? Not at your house. It's going to be held at the house of your person. That's the comfort zone for their contacts. And if they're not comfortable doing it at their house, then you go to a neutral spot. Go someplace else. I like hotel lobbies. That's my place. I like hotel lobbies. Coffee shops to me are annoying. They're chaotic. It's too noisy. I'm usually screaming at people, and I'm usually saying, "What'd you say?" And there's something going on and multiple conversations all around. And I don't like the distraction because there's a lot of things to look at, and I want them right here. So I find a hotel lobby, and I've got one right next to my house. That's where I do all my appointments. I go there, and find one next to your house, and go there. And I pick one that has coffee. That's what I do. I pick a hotel lobby that has coffee. They've got a little snack shop or something there. You can get something, you can sit down, it's a cool atmosphere, cool ambiance, and you can hear. And there's furniture. And hotels are supposed to be nice. So pick a really nice hotel. And you don't have to spend any money in them. There's so many people coming in and out, they don't know if you're a guest there. And if they caught on to you, pick another hotel. Be a hotel rummer. Okay, so that's where I do one-on-ones and presentations. And then the last thing, number 4, in the 72-hour game plan, is you open up their calendar. So how fast is all of this happening?
72 hours.
And how many days is 72 hours?
3 days.
3 days. This is happening very quickly. Look at all the homework that has to be done. Look at all the things that you get to do with your brand new person. And in 3 days, are you kidding me? To have all this stuff wiped out? This is like big time stuff. So now you're on step 4. This is it, 72-hour game plan. You open up their calendar and you say, let me see your calendar. And then you fill in everything that you know they need to have. This is when your upline does a weekly Zoom. This is Super Saturdays for the rest of the year. Here's when Leadership Mastery is. Here's when Convention is. Here's when these things are, and you put them in there, and then you have an expectation. And I'd say, hey, Ronnie, what I want you to do is make sure that you never have anything that comes up on a Tuesday night at 7. That's when we get together as a team. That's when we practice. That's when we do our thing. That's when we rehearse. That's when we evaluate how you did over this last week. You want to make this about you? Come 30 minutes to that presentation and I'll sit down with you. We'll review some of the experiences you've had over the last week and constantly be refining and critiquing and fine-tuning. And if you took action on all these things with your people, you'd always have new things to talk about. Here's what happens. People don't recruit. Then it gets boring. The moment somebody stops recruiting is the moment their business is stagnant and it's on the way into a death spiral. You cannot stop recruiting. When do you stop recruiting?
Never.
Technically, never. But certainly not before what?
Freedom.
No?
Before you have your 9.
Thank you. Say that louder.
Before you have your 9. Before you have your 9.
Before you have your 9. 9 people with what? A dream. 9 people with a dream. Because guess what? Somebody that you really unpack a dream with, is their dream, if you really unpack a dream, is their dream going to be 1-star?
No.
No. Is their dream going to be 2-star?
No.
Is their dream going to be 3-star? What?
No.
It's going to be 5-star ambassador, isn't it? Now, it's not the title that matters. What matters is that the dream demands the income associated with that title, or you couldn't live the lifestyle that you just unpacked with that person. That's why the title matters, but not for the title itself. It matters because the income is there. So you can't stop. No one's dream, nobody ever says my dream is 3-star. They don't. If you are working with someone with a 3-star dream, it's probably not a good idea. You either did a really bad job of dream building or they don't have gas in their tank. Do you understand that? You have to find someone that really wants life, but wants excellence, that wants prosperity, that wants their physical self in the best shape they could possibly imagine. You don't want to grow older with problems. You want to grow older with vitality. Yes or no? Yeah. And so that's why it's your job to unpack all this stuff. So you open up that calendar and you say, make sure you're free at these times. And if they say, you know what, I've got a long-term commitment before this topic ever came up, I've got this, I'd say, okay, how long does that last? I'm willing to do some things creatively around this schedule until that's over, but what you're telling me is when that's over, you're on this schedule, correct? Yes, that's correct. Perfect. That's your 72-hour game plan. So in 72 hours, you've got everything you need. You've got people on products, you've got a testimony, you've got a list created, you've taught everybody how to do an invite, you've scheduled their first 4 appointments. Might it take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people to call to get 4 appointments? Yes, but you've got 4 appointments. Who's doing the meeting? You are, the upline. If you're not ready to do the meetings and you're not trained to do this presentation, then get a hold of your upline and say, hey, I've got somebody, I need some help. We've got these appointments scheduled. Can you come with me or help me pull these off? And it will happen. It will definitely happen. Any questions about the 72-hour game plan? Yes.
I do. So the product testimony in 3 days, that's what I kind of get hung up with. Like, because there's some real health issues that it took them 20 years or more to get there. Are they really going to see or have a testimony in 3 days?
Yeah, if you've got some chronic thing that's been going on, like you said, for forever, we're not looking for total healing in 3 days. We're looking for somebody to notice anything. If there was a scale of 1 to 10 in 3 days, if somebody had a 1 on their journey to 10, that's progress. I'm just looking for anything minuscule, not total, redemption on a massive health problem. And if people have been, oh, by the way, you know what? This is Autumn right here. Autumn, I didn't mean to not have you stand up over here, and that was my fault. I knew I was going to miss somebody, but you're one of those people as well that we're just so thankful that are part of the team. And again, here's someone, single mom, amazing son named Casey, and she's just doing an unbelievable job at being those 2 things for sure. But she is out on a major leap of faith right now and taking this thing very, very seriously. She started attending the meetings at our home that we do every Tuesday night at 7. And now you're here at Super Saturday. And I just wanted to tell you we're very, very, very proud of you for making that decision. Thank you so much, Autumn. Yes. Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
You got it, Autumn. Hey, in closing real quick, and everybody online, yes.
We have a couple questions.
Okay,
Okay.
questions.
One of the questions is, do you ask somebody's permission to record their dream?
I don't ask permission, I just make it a statement of fact. Hey, I'm gonna document this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question. If you're quiet when they're talking, what do you do if you don't talk?
I'm only listening.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions, and so I'm quiet because they're talking.
Right. Okay, and the other one is, so, you know, she knows your presentation is not about objections, but what's your response if the person you're calling to make an appointment asks what type of business that he wants him to review? This is for a person that you look up to. You want him to review your business plan. And he asks what type of business is it, and is it network marketing?
Well, if that's actually only one question.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the one, is this network marketing? Because the second one automatically gets answered. And I'd say, of course. How else do you think we're gonna get free? So is this network marketing? Write that down. It's almost even like a look, an energy that you put out. Like, seriously, did you think this wouldn't be network marketing? How else do you think we're gonna get free?
Incredulous, yeah.
Incredulous.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you all do that? I want you to say that right now. I want you to say, of course. How else did you think we were gonna get free?
Of course. How else do you think we're going to get free? So,
And I want you to do that again. You don't have to say it in unison, don't worry. I just want you to say it out loud, but say it the way that you mean it, the way that you feel. I want you to say, almost like, look at the person with that 1 second pause, like, are you nuts? And you kind of have to have that look, and then you go, of course. How else did you think we were gonna get free? You do that.
of course. How else do you think we're going to get free?
See how great that sounded? Didn't it just feel good to look at somebody? But here's what people do. Oh my gosh, they're on to me. They brought up the network question, network marketing. Oh my goodness, I'm screwed. I mean, no, not at all. I mean, if somebody said, could you imagine if somebody said this? Are you gonna talk to me about being a janitor? Is this that kind of business? That would almost be as crazy. That wouldn't be something that would get somebody free. It doesn't mean that being a janitor is a problem, or being a teacher is a problem, or being a welder is a problem, or being a pastor is a problem, or being an accountant is a problem. It's the fact that all of those things are trading time for money, and nobody ever got free trading time for money. That's not network marketing. Does that make sense to the person who asked?
Yes. This response even works to somebody you look up to. You're going to have reviewed the business. I want you to review my plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, everybody cool with that? All right, here's how I want to wrap this up. We're gonna do this really quickly, but I got a text and they asked me to do a Facebook Live for longevity on the Power of 90 contest. Everybody familiar with the Power of 90 contest?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a different question. Who here is not familiar with the Power of 90 contest? A couple of you. Okay, so can we all sit still for just 5 minutes while I do this? You can be a live audience, and we got to do this this Facebook Live real quick. Can you see the whiteboard? Because I'm going to draw on here with the camera.
You need to turn it so it's.
I got it. Yes, thank you. Okay. Can you see that with the camera?
Yes.
No glares?
I think it looks pretty
It's
good.
glare.
Okay, I only care about the glare on the camera. Okay. Can, Juliet, you want to do this Facebook Live? Okay, I heard that the audio is not good sometimes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Juliet, do you want to do this on my account or do you want to do it on yours? Okay. And you might want to get at the right angle here.
Kind of glossy, right?
I know.
Like little written intro so they know what it is.
Okay. All right, guys, so if you're online right now, we're going to do a Facebook Live. We're going to post this onto the official Corporate Longevity Facebook page. If you want, you can go there and you can pull it off of there, and you can reshare it and use this later. And we're going to make sure that everybody understands what the value of this Power of 90 contest is. Does anybody know if there's a Wi-Fi code in here?
There is.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Perfect. Was today helpful for everybody?
Yes.
Did you learn a lot? Did you get some good information?
Yes.
Do you promise to go use it and apply it and make this beneficial for yourselves?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. All right, hello everybody, this is Scott Farduls. We are coming to you live from Longmont, Colorado, and what we want to do right now is just make sure that everybody is just crystal clear and on fire and really knowledgeable and having a blast with the Power of 90 contest that's happening inside of Longevity right now. This all began at the beginning of the month on February 1st, and it goes to the last day of the month, which is the 28th of February for this month, and the last day of the month for March, and the last day of the month for April. So you've got 3 whole months. We're almost done with month number 1, and we still have 2.5 months left, all said. But here's the great news. The Power of 90 contest right now is just rocketing everywhere, all over the world. That's right. We've got this going on in 17 countries, and to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've ever had a contest that wrapped all the way around the world, that took in every culture, every nation, and everybody that is part of the Longevity family, and we're having a blast together. So again, thanks to all of you that are participating already. Here's the good news. I want to make sure that everybody understands how to get elected or selected into these drawings. And these drawings are occurring every single week. That's right, once a week, they're going into a bucket that looks something like this, I imagine. So just put on your imagination cap, and here's a big container, and this is the bucket. And what happens right now is every single week they're looking at who's doing enrollment. So I apologize if this marker is not working well. Every time you enroll somebody, you enroll one person equals 1 entry. So when you enroll somebody with 100 QB or greater, and that's the key thing, 100 QB or greater, you get 1 entry, and that entry goes into this bucket right here. So they put you into this bucket with all the other entries that are going on, and then if you end up with 3 total entries, you get 3 points. Each entry is 1 point, 3 entries is 3 points, and then you're going to end up with 5 extra points. So 5 extra entries. 5 extra entries for getting 3 total people enrolled, and once you do that, those 5 extra entries go in there. So you can end up with 3 entries plus your 5 bonus points. That's 8 entries that go into this bucket. Okay? There's one exception to this. If you're enrolling people with CEO packs, you enroll people with CEO packs, then you get 5 extra entries per CEO pack. So look what happens now. This 1 turns into 6. So instead of 1, you get 6 entries, because it's 1 entry for the enrollment, but it's 5 extra entries if it's a CEO pack. Does that make sense, everybody? You guys get that? Live audience here? Okay, so now 6 entries per person. And if you have 3 people, 3 CEO packs, then you'd have to add 15 to this number. So now you have a total of 23 entries. If you've enrolled 3 CEO packs, that would be 18, and then the extra 5 points, which takes you to 23, that all go into this bucket. So you can get a maximum of 23 points that go into that bucket, 23 entries, I should say. So think about this. As fast as your entries are going, they're just calculating this every week, and when they do the weekly drawing, they're basically reaching their hand into that container, and the more entries you have, the more likely it is that they're going to find one of your entries and pull it out and say, whoa, no way, you're the winner of this week. And what are they giving out? I mean, they're giving out some cool stuff. They're giving out, like, pots and pans, like really expensive pots and pans. They're giving away flat screen TVs, really, really good, high quality flat screen TVs. They're giving away high-end vacuum cleaners, all kinds of amazing prizes and gifts and trips and rooms and convention tickets. It's pretty amazing. Trips to the corporate headquarters. I just love how creative Longevity is being right now. And this is the first time we've ever had a contest of this magnitude. So that's just like level 1. Here's level 2. Level 2 is when you have 6 entries. When you get to 6 entries, 6 through 9, then you are going to get another 1 entry equals 1. But again, if you have 6 entries at 6 points, 6 enrollments with 6 entries, then you are going to have 36 points. You're going to get a bonus of 10 more points just for accomplishing that minimum of 6 entries. That's a lot of points. This all goes into the bucket, all up into here, and now you've got a whole bunch more entries in there. Bottom line, it's just an easy way to get entries. So the best way to get entries is to have CEO pack enrollments. It's 6 per person instead of 1 per person. But when you have 6 to 9 entries, then you have an extra 10 bonus points that all goes into this bucket. Now here's the third category. I know I'm just scribbling here. When you have 10 plus enrollments with 100 QB, if you have 10 plus enrollments with CEO packs, you're at least getting 1 entry per person. You're getting another 5 points if you have those CEO packs. So what is 10 times 6? That's 60 points, 60 entries. And then they're going to give you 20 more bonus entries just for having a minimum of 10 enrollments at 100 QB or more. They're going to give you an extra bonus. So look at this. Up to 3 is 5 bonus points. Up to 9 is 10 bonus points. And when you have over 10, you get 20 more bonus points or bonus entries. All of that goes in here. So what's this? 60 plus 20 is 80. Think about that. 80 entries. 80 entries are now going into this bucket. The possibility of you getting selected is a lot more when you play in the category of enrollment. 10 plus gives you a lot of entries. And here's my favorite part. Longevity's never given away a car before. They're giving away a car, cash down for a car, and then monthly payments for that car over a period of time. How cool is that? The only way to be able to participate in the grand prize drawing for the car, where they reach into this bucket and only give the people that have 10 enrollments or more the possibility of being drawn, that's good news, because now you have the potential to win that car. So no one can win the car. The only people that win the car are those with how many enrollments? 10 or more. And so again, the difference between enrolling CEO packs at 6 entries per person versus not a CEO pack is 1 entry per person. Can you see the advantage of 1 entry versus 6 entries? That's the good news. So everybody, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the power of this contest right now. That's why they call it the power of 90. This contest is real. It's like game on. People are enrolling left and right. We've got thousands of people all over the world that are participating right now. I just heard about people internationally that are being drawn into this contest, which is so cool. But this is a great way to launch your business. It's a great way to create momentum in your business. It's a great way to experience rapid growth in your business. It's a great way to have community and relationships get stronger together and just kind of have that great spirit of everybody participating and everybody having a great time together. Because every single week, you get to be on the edge of your seat knowing you've got entries in there, and the possibility of them calling your name is very, very real. So play hard, play big, play to win. Congratulate everybody that wins, whether it's part of your team or just part of the Longevity family. Go online and make the post and tell everybody how excited you are for them and how proud of them you are, and just make this a wonderful experience all the way around. So on behalf of all the people that are here live in Longmont, Colorado, and myself, have a great day. It's a beautiful Saturday outside, and let's go win this contest together. Over and out.